What is good, Smooth Nation? We are here to watch Death Battle Shigoraki versus Minato. Mahito. Dang, keep getting it mixed up. Naruto. Just watching Naruto early. And we're essentially here to watch Mahito die. Because there's no way that he's beating Shigoraki. Shigoraki wins in every single possible category. There is absolutely no way that Mahito can win. But I don't even know why they did this fight. But regardless, let's watch. I guess they both have white hair, and they're both villains. They're both maniacal. In fact, I would argue there's not too many similarities between these two. Aside from their powers, because like Shigoraki can disintegrate things when he touches them, and Mahito can like transfigure things when he touches them. But their backstories, their personalities, every other thing about them is different. The only similarity is the design and the powers. Every other thing is different. I think Shigoraki should have gone against somebody else.
Shigoraki versus Mahito.
The symbol of fear versus the human disaster curse.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
To avoid the copyright, let me...
Tenko Shimura was just a sweet, shy boy who loved superheroes.
But sometimes the hand of fate can't abide sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he activated his inherent superpower, or quirk.
It wasn't something cool like flight or super strength. In his terror, he accidentally killed his whole family. Well, except for dear old dad. That one was intentional.
Tenko wandered the streets alone, silently begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found belonged to the devil.
Oh,
did he give him chapstick? Because that's what the kid really needs. The kid
for
needs some
one,
chapstick.
the greatest super villain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of everyone and everything, and grooming him to one day lead his league of villains in destroying hero society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigoraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone who just wants to destroy. Pretty menacing, if not for that dorky-ass costume. I get it, hands are his thing, but come on, they just look so dumb and fake.
Oh, those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands from his family that he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by his mentor so that he would never forget his rage.
Okay.
While his use of decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigoraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something, he's decayed.
Now, I just want to say, you know the Daddy Fast Snap song with Mahito, Decay, that song? Like, watch Transfiguration. Like, look up Daddy Fast Snap Transfiguration song about Mahito. The very title of that song, it seems like something that Shigoraki should have had, man. It's just a weird thing I thought of.
Being also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigoraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master's rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigoraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironic.
Yeah, I actually kind of like Shigoraki. He's introduced as a weak villain who becomes strong over time. You know, Star vs. Butterfly did a similar thing with their villain. I can't remember his name. He starts off weak and becomes a bigger threat over time.
He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life, in front of normies.
But they
Well, yeah, because of his childhood, he really is just a big kid who never got over a really bad day. Because I always say there's two types of Karens. There's the spoiled and the victim. The victim Karen always believes that they're the victim. They had a really bad day, never got over it ever, and they always believe that they're a victim. They'll always complain about something. Shigoraki fits in that spoiled and in the victim Karen category because how he grew up.
They say
He never
defeat
really got
is the
past. He's
greatest
never really
teacher of all.
matured.
Only through struggle could Shigoraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
These two rivals, the inheritors of their master's blood feud, would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when All Might and All For One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigoraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigoraki stepped up. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight, and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front. Thousands of new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All For One's personal quack, Dr. Ujiko, who spent
My OCD just.
months upgrading Shigoraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated
Miyato's
that
so
before to be
freaking
nearly
dead.
80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes' Intercontinental Ballistic Cruise Punch. Now the new name for my penis.
Mahito. What is Mahito gonna do against that? I've seen Jujutsu Kaisen. He's never done anything near that level.
Move over, gigantic Omega Storm. Anyway, it also made a pledge.
I know all you guys are gonna say, oh, but wait a minute, you can't kill him unless he attacks the soul. They have soul hacks in My Hero. They
So
show
big
it.
it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became, oh shit, more hands.
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All For One. So what better way than the old man's quirk?
All For One's quirk, All For One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All For One has hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body, and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
And with those vestiges came quirks like super fast healing, air blasts, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All For One's vestige, that means All For One was now in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years molding for him to take over.
Shigaraki's entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tenko's grandmother.
Oh, that to mess with All Might. That is some next level hating right there.
He manipulated
Like, this is the thing with All For One. All For One is one of those villains who have so much potential and should be this big deal, but due to whatever bullshit, they just fall flat. When he first popped up, just got beat up. It's like Conquest showed up invincible, did some stuff, then just got beat up. And that's kind of what All For One was in his thing. He didn't pop back up until a bit later on, and it's not even him. He's possessing some other dude. He's possessing somebody else. So he don't even do the work himself.
Shigaraki's entire life, all for one purpose: to create a soul so corrupted it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All For One to take full control.
But All For One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new symbol of hope defeated the new symbol of fear, burying All For One's grudge for good.
All that Shigaraki asked was to be remembered as the heartless destroyer he was raised to be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep inside.
For just that one moment, though, Shiggy got in Deku the only thing he'd been denied his whole life, the one thing his lifelong nihilistic tantrum was really all about. He got a hero who tried to save him. This battle is sponsored by Robin Hood Gold.
With Robin Hood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment.
Privilege.
Skip.
Robin Hood Gold, man's greatest fear. Cain slew his brother Abel and wetted his fields with his blood. Man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt for one another spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice, which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle?
Well, then you'd have the special grade curse with the patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever afflict mankind. He's no mere mortal, though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits exist, weaker or stronger depending on the amount of anxieties, jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger. Or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being composed of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why you need a jujutsu sorcerer to come in and kaizen the shit out of them. They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost.
Hey, do you guys think that Jujutsu Kaisen's gonna get a sequel series? Because I know the manga ended a while ago. Will it get a sequel series? Because I don't think it's been announced yet. If I'm incorrect, please tell me now. But
exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito was special. You see, most curses are basically dumb animals. But Mahito has so much cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact, they made Mahito their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the tragic meaninglessness of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist, believing in nothing but his own will to power. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter? Really get your steps in. He loves to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy considering his curse technique, idol transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control anyone's soul with just a touch. including his own. In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the body share an immutable connection. Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body into literally anything he wants, like Play-Doh.
I just don't really have anything to say, but Mahito is a great villain in terms of just a manipulator. Like, when you think of just a soulless, pure evil villain who just wants to destroy on some Joker type stuff, on that psychopath stuff, that's where Mahito shines in Jujutsu Kaisen. A part of me likes him more than Sukuna. A small part of me, because I know
turn
Sukuna's
his
more
limbs into
powerful
blades or
stuff.
clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse users are naturally unharmed by their own ability. Should he touch a human, though, his alterations to their body are instantly fatal.
And since he's attacking your soul, those physical wounds are gonna be impossible to heal.
Even if his
How do you cut off your own arm with the arm? Like, the bro doesn't have a blade or sword. He's just like, just chop. This thing isn't super sharp. It's like, it's not. You got Omni-Man strength to do that. Like, unless you put, is he putting cursed energy into the chop to cut it off? And in this universe, the body and soul are connected, so that's gonna affect the soul too. So he's overall weaker. So it's like, if you take physical damage, then your other sorcery abilities aren't going to make sense. Jujutsu Kaisen's power system is a mess. Jujutsu Kaisen's power system is an absolute freaking mess. You got a guy whose signature move is something that everybody can do, the Black Flash, but they can't often do it. And then Mahito comes and does that same thing. It makes no sense. Yeah.
his alteration isn't directly fatal, the human body won't last more than a few moments in a transfigured state.
All that with one touch! God, I thought herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable dolls that he can gleefully experiment on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and watch you suffer.
Even more twisted is when he combines two transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity, essentially a giant torrent of body horror flesh that he repels at an opponent. Ugh.
It's still trash compared to Shigaraki's ability. But Miyato's ability of mutating people, it's a cool ability. It's very horror based. Shigaraki, anything that Miyato could throw Shigaraki can just incinerate it. Not to mention his other abilities. And Shigaraki also got the create hand body part thing, which can engulf cities and stuff, which is again bigger than anything Miyato's ever done. This was a bad death battle. Shigaraki is destined to win. Shigaraki dominates this fight.
Mahito is unbelievably creative with his application of idol transfiguration, and despite being a newborn
This also shows just how important creativity is when in a fight. This is the problem when with going up against. I was about to say something. Yeah, I'll say it. Like if you're playing a game and you're going up against a bunch of CPUs, just computers, no matter how advanced, no matter how high level it is, they just don't have creativity. So the moment you start thinking outside the box, you're going to win. It shows how important creativity is. Like, this is why we have so many different martial arts styles. Because all of them have their respective benefits. And if you know how to use it creatively. Like, I use Wing Chun with my Taekwondo, which is super effective. Like I've had people try to box me, and I will, when they get like this, I would literally grab their hand like that. And then I would just inner crescent kick them like that. And people have flat out said that I was annoying to fight. I've had pros don't want to fight me because I'm too unpredictable in how I fight. It just shows creativity is important in a fight.
curse consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a number of different curse techniques, like the Black Flash.
By applying cursed energy within 1 microsecond of an impact with an enemy, space itself will distort, exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no surprise then that Mahito also unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer techniques, the Domain Expansion.
Oh shit! More hands! A domain is like a barrier of cursed energy, but...
In fact, this reminds me, a key difference between Shigoraki and Mahito, like did I say, Mahito is, when you think about it, is really spoiled, like a spoiled little kid, while Shigoraki is like an abuse victim type kid, that type mentality. Because when you think about it, Mahito is the biggest prodigy in Jujutsu Kaisen, aside from Gojo and Sukuna. It's because he was just born with all of these abilities. He's so creative in how he goes about it. Yet he just doesn't have the will to do, he doesn't have the will to try to train. And I believe that if Mahito trained, he could have surpassed Sukuna, could have surpassed Gojo. I believe that. You can call me crazy, but I believe that. And his Shigoraki, his ability actually wasn't that strong until he got the drive to train and get stronger, and then he became overpowered. So...
you're caught inside, Mahito can use idle transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the ultimate expression of Mahito's absolute control over his victim's body and soul. The only time it ever failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy, Yuji Itadori.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, 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 he also had a curse inside of him.
The king of curses, Sukuna.
Which meant Mahito's ability affected both.
Now, when they inevitably make a death battle with Sukuna, who's he gonna fight? Who do you think Sukuna's gonna fight when they inevitably make a death battle with Sukuna? Tell me what you think below.
Both souls in Yuji's.
I genuinely think Boruto from Narutoverse would destroy Sukuna. I personally think that because everybody in Boruto's planetary, whether you want to admit it or not. So I think Boruto would destroy Sukuna.
Sukuna didn't like that. No surprise, and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the value of human life flew directly in the face of the world that Mahito knew to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering.
I think Mahito versus Orochimaru would be a far better fight. I still think Orochimaru would destroy Mahito, but I think it would be a much closer fight between those two.
Battering him before going in for the kill.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form, the instant body of distorted killing.
Complete with armored exoskeleton and arm blades, this was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into, a true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last. In a bitter battle of resolve, Yuji won out. In a dog-eat-dog world, there was now a bigger wolf.
So he tucked tail and ran away like a bitch.
No, funny thing, wolves aren't super tough animals. They rely on hunting weak prey. They rely on working in a pack. They're actually not super uber tough. And in fact, you put a wolf against a lion, that lion's gonna win every single time.
What do you know? Life suddenly became a whole lot more meaningful the second it looked like it was about to end.
All that gleeful nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the end.
For him, maybe. But Mahito found a convert in his archenemy. After a battle that wiped out thousands of innocent people, Yuji's youthful spirit was gone. The only thing left that mattered was exorcising this curse.
In a way, that was Mahito's final victory, the destruction of another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees. Hey, do you see that join button?
Let's watch Mahito get his ass
That's your
kicked.
ticket to being a Death Battle champion. As a champion, you get all sorts of exclusive Death Battle content, like extra videos, live chats, and
It's time for a death battle!
Let's watch Mahito get his ass kicked.
I'd heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts. My organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring them your head instead?
Fine by me.
Music is awesome.
Let's call this your audition. Sick'em.
You should be able to music. See, it's like I said, this is how important creativity is in a fight. Like, I have actually fought in pro fighters. They don't like fighting me because I'm too unpredictable with my fighting style. And it wasn't like a serious fight with knockout power. It was like a regular sparring match. This is how important creativity is. This is why we have so many different styles of martial arts.
Game over. Did you actually just say that?
God, how lame!
Audition over.
Did I get the part?
Decay!
Laugh out.
What a rush! That all you got?
Domain expansion. I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy is mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
Shame to you, Mahito.
Hands off my masterpiece.
Does that technically count as outside interference? Does that technically count as like cheating? Would you argue that?
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way. Totally random. I hate them for a reason. You grow up.
What did I say, Wiz? Like a bitch.
With their complex power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories: physical stats, survivability, and their powers.
But first, let's address one thing. Could Shigoraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigoraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the Search quirk, Shigoraki would have had no problem tracking it.
So seeing Mahito wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster curses being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigoraki scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
He was faster too, considering he could react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigoraki takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw durability, Shigoraki was a lot tougher, and his ability
He
to
wins in
generate
every
new flesh
single
meant that he
category,
could heal
bro.
any wounds
Every
he might
single
receive
category.
super easy.
However, Mahito is a curse and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigoraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question. Could Shigoraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down.
I don't like him being referred to as Shiggy. I really don't like that. Shiggy. Can you guys imagine Shigoraki getting a girlfriend or something? What would that look like? If imagine Shigoraki on a date with a woman. What would that conversation go?
Down to their powers.
Shigoraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All For One had collected over all the years, but none that we know of could properly kill a curse. That didn't mean idle transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigoraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idle transfiguration. The fact that Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigoraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and have that damage transferred to the Deku in the real world.
Mahito may be made of spirit energy, but he still has a physical form. In fact, sorcerers that couldn't naturally target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like everyone else.
Giving Shigoraki the third and final edge. It was a unique duel to the death, but Shigoraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end for the disaster curse.
Nothing else to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigoraki.
The winner is Tomura Shigoraki.
Who's
Next time on
something
Death
good,
Battle.
something good. This is a dumb fight, by the way. Boruto, Bakugo versus Rexplode. Bakugo dominates. It's not a fight. Doomslayer.
Subscribe and join as a...
Why do you keep making these stomps? Doomslayer wins. Doomslayer wins in every freaking category. Stop making these complete stomps. I know this is a remake of an old death battle you did. Don't care. Doomslayer dominates, man. Complete stomp. Well, see you guys later. Smooth Nation, you are dismissed.